What's up, party people? Hope you are doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Mediocre Park. This is the first in a series of what I'm going to be calling the Beautification episodes, and we'll get to that and its meaning a little bit later. But right now we have to start with what is seemingly the traditional look at Main Street, because I still just can't stand it. And I just kind of moved these two buildings out, or these two gaps out, just to kind of see what it would look like with two openings, see if that makes it feel any more spaced out at all, or if I am going to have to just expand the whole thing. And what I eventually find out is that I will probably have to just expand the whole thing in order to make it look how I want it to look. But this is at least a start to see how we could make it work to where it's going to be branching out behind this area and all that. But that's really all we're going to do with Main Street today, and then eventually we're going to look back at the rock work there with the drop towers and everything. But today, as part of the beginning of the beautification process, I'm actually going to be working on a quote-unquote natural feature to the park. So as you can see, I'm kind of building a lake here, and I'm sure the thumbnail probably already gave it away, so I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm making a series of cascading waterfalls that start all the way up behind Cernunnos and come all the way down to this little pond here. And I am doing a post commentary, so I will say I love the way it looks at the end. It's not finished, but I do love the way it comes out. Throughout the build, it's gonna get a little iffy. There's gonna be moments where you're gonna look at it and be like, oh god, what is he doing? But I promise the finished product is worth it. It's worth all of the little awkward stages of this build, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'm gonna let this play out for a bit, because I am currently sick and talking hurts because I have a chest cold, some sort of tonsillitis, and yeah, it's real fun time trying to use my vocal cords. So I'm gonna let this play out for a bit, and I'll be back with you later to talk about the build. Okay, so we've now kind of gotten to the, not necessarily the end point, but kind of the finishing stages of the first waterfall, where you can kind of see that a waterfall has been created. And I'm sure by now you can see why this is a project within itself. You have to literally create you have to play God. As with most things in Planet Coaster, if you want it to look nice and look natural, you have to put a good amount of work into it. I think in total, this took me, oh god, what was it? 4? No. Actually, yeah, I think this did take me about 4 hours to do all of the waterfall stuff. And you have to place each one of these water jets individually. So, yeah, a little bit of immersion breaking here if you're kind of seeing how the sausage is made. But if you don't know that there are a bunch of jets in this hill, this looks phenomenal in my opinion. Obviously, like I said, it's not done, and I do have kind of some hindsight bias knowing how this whole thing is going to turn out. But I mean, if you just look at that without knowing that there's a bunch of individually placed jets and small little things here and there to make this look like a waterfall, I think it's a convincing waterfall. And yeah, I also kind of learned a few new things. I knew that to make a waterfall you had to use these individual jets and whatnot, and I thought that you just kind of placed the jets and they would spray in the direction that you pointed them, and that would be that. I didn't realize that gravity actually affects the jets. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer now that you think about it, but I thought that the way that the jets worked was wherever you placed them in your custom build, the water would just go that way and then like evaporate. I didn't think that gravity actually affected things, especially the new effect that I found, which I'm actually playing with now, and I did a lot of with the other waterfall over there, is this cascading effect thing. It was honestly a bit frustrating to work with because of the gravity effect. There's not really much, like, even if you point it upward and outward, there's not much horizontal travel of the water, which I kind of wanted. It really just kind of falls down, and if you put it too far out of the mountain, you can see the actual like rod or whatever, or bar that the water's coming from, and it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. So it was definitely, it was cool to find these new features and effects and things, but it was also kind of frustrating to know that I had access to them, but they were just finicky enough to make life a little frustrating. But you'll see as it goes on, I get kind of used to what you can use where and what looks good in certain spots, and yeah, so it was just a lot of tedious kind of trial and error and guesswork, especially when we get up to the top waterfall. That was a lot of just like, okay, how can I angle this to make it look good? How far into the mountain can I put this? How far out can I put this without it being visible, but without me wasting so much time just adding 2 jets here and there? So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of guesswork, but pretty satisfying outcome. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna finish up this waterfall and get back to you later. Just a quick little tidbit here that I think is pretty funny. You can actually see where my first session stopped right here, because I actually saved the game and exit. Yeah, between that and the end of this video, I had 3 separate hard drive crashes, which was very stressful. I spent an hour recovering about, what was it, 45 minutes of footage, something like that, just in desperation that I would not lose this build. So yeah, the hard drive problems have not stopped plaguing me yet, but we got through it this time, and I've cleared some things out, and hopefully things will be running a little more smoothly in the future if I do massive builds like this, which the next 10 episodes, or 5 episodes rather, are going to be these larger, more lengthy builds. Not necessarily lengthier videos, but just lengthier builds. So yeah, hopefully I've sorted out the hard drive issues, but we shall see. So here you can kind of see that I've gotten it down a little bit to a science as far as how far out of the terrain I can push these jets without them being too visible. And I do eventually plan on covering them all up if they are visible, like some of those you can see very clearly. Yeah, I've kind of gotten that down to a little bit of a science, and then I've just made blueprints of different types of water flows so that I don't have to add one jet at a time. I can add groups of jets to make things a little more efficient, and excuse me. This part definitely, it felt longer to me just because once I got the rhythm down, I kind of became a little bit of a perfectionist with certain things, and I'd already been working for so long, and I did all of this in I think one sitting just separated by the hard drive issues. So it was build, freak out about a hard drive, fix the hard drive, recover the footage, build more, was kind of the process here. So this was not the most fun build in the world, to be honest, just because of the fatigue that set in. This episode was supposed to come out a week ago, if not 2 weeks ago, depending on when this releases. I'm trying to get it out on the 29th. Yeah, it was supposed to release on the 22nd. But after the first hard drive issues, it just set me back, and I was like, there's no way I can get this out. But yeah, so now we have a little splashdown into the first kind of retention pond from that top waterfall. And then we're just going to do kind of what we did to the other falls, where we added like the different little plants or rocks or whatever to cover up those top jets so that it looks a little more natural. The water in this game is very finicky. Like the actual water that you like use with the landscaping tool, it has to be very much corralled. You can't have any open space. You obviously can't make your own river without using all these jets and things, so it's finicky. They do not like you to use water very effectively. I'm hoping if there's a sequel, we'll have better water management, maybe even a water park DLC or feature or something. But as of right now, in the 2016 Planet Coaster, yeah, nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on this rock work, and then I'll be back with you later to close out the video. Alrighty, so we're now nearing the end of the build, or at least this part of the build. There's obviously more work to be done, and I know that I'm fully prepared to do more work, but I just wanted to get, as with everything, just the framework done and just most of the hard work done, and then I can touch up things a little bit later here and there. But I think overall this has added to the beauty of the park, and I hope you think so as well. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. I can't wait to see you next time. I have some ideas for what the next episode is gonna be. Not gonna reveal them yet because I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but I'm excited for it no matter what it is. So yeah, see you next time. Hope you enjoyed, and peace.